Representative Mike Calley of Pennsylvania, who serves on the House Ways and Means Committee, is with us now ahead of the big moment. Congressman, tell me about your weekend reading this thing. Did you have some eggnog with your weekend tax bill reading, or did you need something a little stronger to get through it?
No, you know what, though? For 7 years, we've had 41 hearings and 3 different chairmen. And Chairman Brady really kept us up to date every day on what was going on with the conferees. So we spent time on it and time on it and time on it. You know what, Liz? It's about 1,100 pages. But if you take the boilerplate out, it's about 500 pages. And when you get into that, a lot of that was stuff that we had already seen ahead of time, had debated and had made decisions on. So great piece of legislation, by the way. And for anybody that's wondering about it, go to fairandsimple.gop for the tax cuts and jobs bill. You can sit at your kitchen table, have some eggnog, maybe put a little bit of Irish whiskey in there just to make it go down a little bit easier. But I'm telling you what, there's something in there for everybody, and what a Christmas gift for the nation.
Okay,
and right on line with what President Trump wanted.
There are some things in there that there are certain states that don't like. Are you completely happy? I mean, is there anything in there that makes you even slightly uncomfortable about this?
No, you know what? I'm completely happy and I'm completely comfortable, and I'll tell you why. Back where I'm from, an average family of 4 making about $73,000 a year gets another $2,100 take home. They're going to have that less of a tax cut. That's money that they can keep, money they earned, money they sent into the federal government. Plus the fact their wages are going to go up. We're going to see a dynamic economy and robust economy where everybody's boat rises. So I'm so excited about it. Listen, this is the best Christmas ever for me, and this is number 69, so I'm looking forward to it.
7 tax brackets and a bunch of new changes. Can you really hold up to the Paul Ryan and President Trump postcard promise, where President Trump was kissing it and saying, you know, you'll be able to do it on a small piece of paper? It's a lot of people are questioning whether that can really happen.
Well, you know what? The intention early on was about growth. So more important than the postcard was the fact that everybody's boat was going to rise, that we're going to keep corporations here.
Is that a no?
What it is no, it's not going to be a little postcard. It's probably going to be a little bit bigger, but it's going to be very simple for people, individual taxpayers, to make out their tax returns. So when it gets to the corporate end of it, it gets more complicated, as you know. But for individuals, which is 90% of the people who supply the revenue to run this wonderful government of ours, it's going to be easy for them to fill out their tax return. Listen, we went from a code of 78,000 pages. We're down to 1,100 pages in the bill.
Bravo,
but this
that's
is going to be so much easier.
We're hearing from Republican lawmakers, maybe some of them are your pals in Congress, New York, New Jersey, California, Peter King, Lee Zeldin, you have Darrell Issa in California, and New Jersey's Leonard Lance, either intimating or outright yelling they will vote no because the bill curtails their constituents' ability to deduct the state and local taxes. They see it as pitting some states in the USA against others. Why are some states getting treated differently here?
Well, I don't think it's so much that they're getting treated. They're getting treated the same along the line of the standard deduction. We doubled the standard deduction for singles up to $12,000 from $6,000, and for married couples or people filing jointly up to $24,000 from $12,000. That cuts an awful lot of taxes out right at the get-go. Now, for these folks from these other states, I understand they're always going to be pushing their state. That's what they should do. That's what they're supposed to do. But I don't see it as a problem in Pennsylvania for me. And I think if you look around the country, people are going to be so happy with this bill. We're talking about growth. It's always about growth. It's about jobs, jobs, and more jobs. And we're going to see that happen, keeping companies at home and bringing jobs back that left because they were being treated unfairly.
Okay, so
that was my concern.
Let's say you've got 2 or 3 states that don't like the deduction and what's going to happen with that.
Sure.
What makes many more people in many more states really unhappy is that somehow the carried interest welfare for the uber-rich loophole that allows billionaires in private equity to be in an awfully generous tax bracket of 20% is alive and well and untouched. Charlie Gasparino and I have been hammering this issue for weeks. The president said it's got to go, it's gone, and yet it remains. So now the rest of the world has suddenly woken up, Congressman. I mean, Ann Coulter, a Trump supporter, tweeted, for Trump to promise to end it everywhere he went, then back down is a very bad look. She said there has to be a name. Who saved the hedge fund managers' tax loophole? It's actually not for hedge fund managers, Ann, but it's private equity. Sir,
well,
who got, wait. Who got to Congress? Was it the powerful lobbyists, the president's billionaire friends?
No.
How is carried interest still in this thing?
Listen, I think it's part of the status quo of the previous tax code. But really, if people are going to concentrate on just that and turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to all the good parts of it, listen, isn't it true that the perfect is always the enemy of the good? Listen, you know, as growing up as a child, I'd make a list of everything I wanted to Santa Claus. I'd send it off to the North Pole. I'd come down Christmas morning. I never got everything I asked for, but I was sure as heck happy for everything I got.
But you wouldn't have
and
been
that's the
that
way we need to look.
happy. You wouldn't have been that happy if Santa came down the chimney and handed your dad the exact present you wanted, and you didn't get it as the kid who had less money and less ability to buy all of this stuff. You've got to understand, people are not happy. Were there lobbyists who were traversing and talking to you guys to say, just leave this part alone?
I will tell you that I did not talk to one person sitting on Ways and Means. Usually we get a chance to hear from everybody. I didn't have anybody come in to me and say, you've got to keep this. This is so important to my guys. That didn't happen. Now, it went through both the House and the Senate. It's there. It's part of our legislation. I would just ask people to please look beyond these little things that are bothering you. Quit pulling at that little thread because you don't want the whole sweater to come unraveled, and look about what is the end result of this. So more take-home pay for everyday Americans. More take-home pay, and for our corporations to be able to compete globally. Right. Come on, and we're going to worry about carrying interest, and we don't worry about a booming economy. That's not who we are, and we need to get beyond that.
There are some people who say, why did they get this cut? But Congressman, thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. With the closing bell ringing in